And we are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Winshaw. How are you doing, Seth?
I'm good.
All right, we have a ton to talk about this week because it was the Tesla earnings week, which always comes with a lot of news that comes out of either the earnings report itself or the conference call that followed. And we have plenty of news to talk about here when it comes to that. And then we have Seth went to a little GM event this week, and there was an interesting announcement about I guess it's level 3 autonomy that they announced.
They don't call it level 3, but that's what it is.
It sounds like it. Yeah. Then we have Rivian layoffs we want to talk about, and then 2 vehicle programs that were, sort of killed this week, or at least paused, and that's the F-150 Lightning and the BrightDrop electric van. So 2 big bummers that we're going to have to discuss later on the show. We're going to have time to talk to you guys. So if you guys have any question for us, you can put it in the comment section. Get to it. I'm going to remind you about it a little bit later on the show once the more people are coming in. All right, let's talk about the earnings a little bit. So quick numbers. Expectation were 26.5 billion in revenue, 55 cents per share. Tesla came in higher in revenue at 28 billion, but lower in earnings at 50 cents per share. And yeah, it's indicative of a company that is not really growing anymore. Like we anticipated the record revenue, we anticipated actually how much higher earnings. I was closer to like 70 cents per share that I was expecting, so way below what I was expecting. We already discussed it a bunch of time. The higher revenue is due to the demand being pulled forward in the US due to the tax credit going away. That gave Tesla a giant boost. But even with this giant boost, Tesla couldn't grow its earnings despite that, and despite lower capital expenditure too. So that's the thing. I mean, when I was a Tesla bull, that's the thing I was always like hammering on. And I was like, yeah, Tesla is not making any money, or at the end of my bull run as a Tesla investor, it was like they're not making that much money, but that's because they're reinvesting a lot of it in their future growth. Capital expenditure was high for a company of at that time that size. Now it's not even the case anymore. Like the capital expenditure is down 36% quarter over quarter, and especially for a company that Elon claims is like an AI company now. And I don't know, Seth, if you've been following all these other AI companies' capital expenditure, but they are through the roof, like investing. Yeah, bananas in data centers, they invest in everything. You don't see that. Like, to be fair, Tesla did invest heavily last year and the year before that, and earlier this year a little bit in data centers, but not so much anymore, and not so much in their vehicle program, not so much on new production capacity. So yeah, capital expenditure is way down, and still the net income is also down on top of it. So 28 billion in revenue, 3.4 billion in operating expenses, so 1.6 billion in income from operations. So that's 40% down. Adjusted EBITDA is also down 9%. Net income attributable to shareholders is down 37% gap, 29 non-gap. So that plus the fabulous capital expenditure is way down. It has all the signs of a company that is simply not growing anymore. That's what it is. Like, it had the last good quarter of a big boost because of that higher revenue thanks to the tax credit going away, but that's about it. Tesla disclosed in the earnings report that they lost 1.4 billion in regulatory credits. So that's not like this quarter. Like this quarter, I think they had 400 something million in regulatory credits compared to 700 the same period last year. So it was down a lot despite record deliveries. So normally more deliveries, more credit. Not the case anymore because of the changes in the US. But they also disclosed that their long-term contracts, so contracts that they had with automakers to buy their credit, 1.4 billion of that was erased due to the changes with the CAFE standard and all that. So yeah, it's not a good look for Tesla long term, but yeah, they also said a lot of things about. I should mention they still, it still was a positive quarter in terms of free cash flow. So Tesla did add $4 billion to its treasury. So now it's sitting on $41 billion. So Tesla still, it's not in trouble or anything like that. It's just not growing anymore. Their profits are going down. Yeah, there was a few things that were mentioned in the article, in the conference call, that we thought were newsworthy. So first of all, production increase. So Elon is talking about actually increasing Tesla's production capacity, which is interesting because demand has been down. Tesla's production capacity is currently at about a 60% utilization rate. So that's a problem. And we thought, Tesla thought there would be opportunities to increase that production with the release of the standard range vehicles, not standard range, just standard. They're called standard vehicles. The stripped down Model Y and Model 3. But after they were unveiled, we're like, I don't think so. This is kind of a flop. Like maybe they get a few percentage points higher. They get to 65, maybe 70% capacity, but they're still going to be way below capacity. Now, Elon said that they're actually going to increase production, but not because of these new models, but because I feel, like I'm quoting, I feel confident in expanding Tesla's production. So that is our intent, to expand as quickly as we can our future production. I was reticent to do so until we had clarity on achieving unsupervised full self-driving. But at this point, I feel we got clarity, and it makes sense to expand production as fast as we reasonably can. So basically, he says, now I have clarity on solving unsupervised self-driving. All the other times that he said that it's going to happen by the end of the year, over the last 6 years, he wasn't confident, even though he's on the record saying he was. But now this time he is. So just to make like a little summary of what he's saying here is like, he thinks that it's worth increasing production right now because in the near future they're going to solve a feature that he has been historically terrible at predicting when it's going to be solved. So what could go wrong here? Actually, for consumer, this is a good thing, I think, because if Tesla increases production right now and expect a higher demand from FSD, I think FSD demand has been. That's another data point set that was interesting in the earnings call that they shared. The CFO said that they are at about 12% of the fleet is buying FSD.
12%.
Yeah, so the take rate is 12%, which is about what we expected. I think a few years ago it was roughly 10%. In 2022, 2023 or something. We at some point at Electrek we got the data on it, and because Tesla has been like keeping that close to the chest for a while, but we got it like a few years ago and we were able to publish it, and it was 8-10%, and it varied greatly, obviously, between regions because the availability of FSD features in North America is way higher than in Europe, and just now it comes to China and Australia, New Zealand. So I guess 12 is low a few years later with all the improvements and with more availability in other markets, especially China, you would think. But at the same time, it's so expensive that and Tesla's sales in China tend towards the lower end of their lineup. So the lower end the lineup is, the harder it is to sell a $10,000 feature on a vehicle. I think the take rate on the Model S and X for FSD is way higher, for example,
right,
because of that. So yeah, it's what could happen here is that Tesla increases production, thinking, hey, we're gonna solve self-driving by the end of the year. It doesn't do it, and then they're like, all right, we still have to sell those cars, so we're gonna have to do crazy discounts. And I think that's what's gonna happen, because I think Tesla still has some hope that they might not end the year down in total deliveries, which is not impossible because they did catch up quite a bit thanks to the demand being pulled forward in Q3, but they will need like significant discounts. So good news, if you're in a market for a car by the end of the year, I think you might find yourself with some big discounts on Tesla vehicles.
Time to get a Model Y.
Yeah, I'm still leaning more towards Model 3, but who knows? Yeah. All right, the $1 trillion package came up a bunch of times in the call. It came up at the beginning of the call, midway through the call, and at the end, the CFO and then Elon got on the back of it, literally made a call for shareholders to give Elon $1 trillion. But Elon kind of, I mean, he didn't change his tune. He's been saying that for a while, that it's not about the money, it's about the control over the company and everything. But this time he phrased it in a more like headline worthy way, where he was like, I'm about to build an army of over 1 million robots, and I want control over this army, and I don't think I have control right now, which something we've repeatedly, pushed back against, that like all evidence point to Elon having complete control over Tesla over the last 2 decades, like, especially since Eberhard and Tarpening has been out, since that was 2009, and even before that, because he got his way and he was able to push them out. Like, can you point to a moment in time that Elon didn't get his way at Tesla? Like,
No.
Tesla didn't do exactly what he wanted to do? And by that, I mean especially the board and the shareholders. Like, I cannot think of a single moment.
Nope.
But that's his fear. He fears that he called the ISS and Glass Lewis, the two proxy firms that advise institutional investors. He called them corporate terrorists for recommending that people vote against the $1 trillion stock package. And there's been some other development this week about this. I posted an article this week based on a tweet from Elon where he, the board already hinted towards that, but Elon now confirmed it, that basically if he doesn't get his way, if he doesn't get his package, he will leave. And he did that in response to someone who's was a Tesla shareholder and someone that appeared bullish on Tesla and Elon, that brought up the point that we brought up a bunch of times before, is that there are issues with his compensation package where he could get between 20 and 40 billion dollars from the package without Tesla doing much than business as usual, and even growing at a return on investment, a rate that is lower than the S&P 500. So why would you, and 20 and 40 billion dollars sounds low compared to $1 trillion, but it would still be the biggest compensation package ever for a CEO ever. So why would you give that to someone who delivers below average return? It makes no sense. So they are obvious flaws in the compensation package itself. And the person that Elon was responding to when he said he was going to leave if he doesn't get it, simply pointed out that first tranche specifically that could be easily achieved without significant return to Tesla shareholders. And instead of just addressing that as like, oh yeah, maybe we should change that because that doesn't seem fair, he was like, who's going to lead Tesla, because it's not going to be me.
And also, I have kind of fired everybody that would be capable of leading Tesla.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's the talent exodus issue that we've been highlighting for a while at Electrek. And I like that. Like last week, I posted an article on the talent exodus and saying that like what's her name? Robin Denholm, Tesla's chairwoman, was saying that she keeps seeing these headlines about people leaving Tesla, but she never sees headlines about people joining Tesla. And I'm like, I'm looking for those headlines every day. Like, I'm looking at people that Tesla hires, and there's just no big names, no big people that they secured. And I'm saying Tesla's still hiring people, but it's mostly hired interns, like people right out of college, and then try to build them up from there, which is a strategy that's worthy and everything. But you cannot expect me to write an article about Tesla hiring a new intern. And during the earnings call, they basically confirmed the thing that I've been saying, that Tesla is losing a lot of top talent and relying mostly on hiring people, interns and people right out of colleges. And that's what they said. They said we are growing and we're hiring a lot of talent and mostly straight out of college. So that's exactly my point I've been saying. But yeah, this robot army thing is like, who believes that? Like, are they? I'm sure they are like shareholders, but like I would like to have a good poll on like people that've been following Tesla for a while. It's like, how many people really believe that Elon? It's not about the money; it's about the control over the future robot army. Like, it's like you have to be very gullible to believe that. It
money.
Just so happens they get 30-40 billion dollars if Tesla just like keeps doing like 3% return for the next 5-10 years. But no, it's about the robot army.
So do you think, okay, so you make a great point. they, the $1 trillion is like the big, headline. Everybody's thinking about that. But that also requires, Tesla to grow like 8x or something, or, $8 trillion company.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the real goal is just, another $50 billion. Like
That's
that.
my point. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I've been saying is like
Yeah.
these. He doesn't have to complete the package. Like he
Right.
does one tranche of it, and it's still the biggest deal ever. There's things like if you're really that confident in what you say and everything like that, like I would be on board. I'm not even a shareholder anymore, but if I was, I would be on board with like, oh yeah, let's give him $50 billion if he delivers on supervised self-driving and the capability safer than a human driver, proven over, let's say, 1 billion miles. Like if you can deliver an unsupervised self-driving to consumer vehicle, which you promised for a decade at this point, um, and you can do it with proving that it is safer than human driver over, let's whatever reasonable amount of mileage it is, then yeah, get your $50 billion from that. That's a trench. That's one trench there. Get $50 billion, and and that would be it. That would be fair. Like, but why is that not one of the milestones in it? Like, it's not one of the milestone. Is the only milestone related to this is a million vehicle subscribed to FSD. Is it a million or 10 million? I don't remember which one. But subscription to FSD, like they are already now. It's probably more than a million because there's already probably close to a million. If it is, it would be sad. But so yeah, it's you can just lower the price of a FSD subscription, which should already be the case. Like especially hardware 3 subscriptions should be lower than hardware 4. Like what is that about? Like I don't have the same capacity in my hardware 3 car than my friend does in his hardware 4 cars, and yet I have to pay the same subscription price than he does. Makes no sense. Change that model and everything. Make it like $50 a month to subscribe to FSD. You'll get to 10 million in a few years, easy. So there's no, he made it purposely easy milestone to get to. Like even the million robot thing, the milestone, like you couldn't make a million. You could justify making a million robot that were worth like $50,000 to $100,000 and use them for repetitive, relatively simple task, and that would be it wouldn't have a major impact that he's talking about on the world's economics and ending poverty. Like you keep using these timeline. He said he called the optimist. He called it an infinite money glitch.
Yeah.
He literally sounds like the scammers under his ex post, like trying to pass as him to give you like a crypto scam, like a get rich quick scheme. He sounds like that. It's like going full circle of scamming. But yeah, like you could deliver something like that, and then Elon would get another $50 billion for that, even though it's you're light years away from between making a million robots that are useful for certain tasks that you train them for versus like a generalized useful robot. It's light years away. So yeah, there's a lot of problems like that with this conventional package. All right, we got an interesting news that came out of the earnings too. Tesla announced that they have a new solar panel in production in the U.S. at Gigafactory New York in Buffalo. So it was Mike Snyder, Tesla's VP of Energy Charging, said, "We've seen a surge in residential solar demand in the U.S. due to policy changes, which we suspect to continue into the first half of 2026 as we introduce a new solar lease product." So we talked about that a few podcasts ago, that after neglecting its solar business for years, even stopped reporting deployment because it was so low, Tesla relaunched its solar leasing product earlier this month. And we noted that it was a purely opportunistic move from Tesla because of the tax credit for residential solar going away at the end of the year. Just like what happened with electric vehicle in Q3, it's resulting in a big boost in demand for solar in Q4 in the US, which, by the way, you got to be careful about because I think there's a similar extension that if you get everything locked in by the end of the year, you should be fine and everything, but it's not as clear as with electric vehicles. And if you lock in like your order in the next few weeks, like in the next few weeks, maybe you get an installation by the end of the year. But from what I'm hearing, like everyone is like, there's a lot of demand, so it can be rough, and 30% tax credit is a big difference, obviously. So Tesla is trying to take advantage of that. But then Snyder added, we also began production of our Tesla residential solar panel in our Buffalo factory, and we will be shipping that to our customers starting in Q1. So it's not shipping right now, but Q1. The panel has industry-leading aesthetic, shade performance, and demonstrate our continued commitment to U.S. manufacturing. So this is Tesla's previous solar panel, which is an NWA panel, and so I did a little bit of research because the Tesla's been talking about manufacturing panels for a while, but they never really manufactured themselves, and it passed on like Tesla branded panels that were manufactured from others, again mainly South Korea's NWA. So I looked it up a little bit, and I saw that Tesla did recently changed the specs of its panel on its website from 405 watts to 410. So I thought maybe this is it, or maybe this is not the new panel just yet because it's not shipping already. But this one here, like I did the spec comparison, and it's basically the NWA Q cells, which only a differential in the framing. But the framing is Tesla, so it's not. So it's almost guaranteed that it is the NWA Q cell panel. I have some doubts here just because the history, and in the article I posted, the history of the Gigafactory in New York is it's a wild thing for those that don't remember. Like, it was announced as a Silevo solar panel manufacturing factory in 2013, but then in 2014, Solar City bought Silevo. Solar City financial trouble shortly after. 2016, Tesla buy Solar City. And then Tesla says it's going to manufacture the solar panels as expected, but then pivots to doing a deal with Panasonic. Panasonic manufactured the panels for them there. And then Panasonic pulls out after a few years. Tesla is missing its target on hitting its job requirements there. So they start to like pivot, and they make solar roof tiles there, which has proven didn't ramp up production of that significantly ever, so that didn't go well. They pivot to making supercharger equipment there, so that has been the core product that Gigafactory New York has been producing for the last few years. They also moved a team of autopilot data labeling there, so that helped them with those two things combined fulfill the requirement for jobs. But now they are apparently bringing back solar panel manufacturing. There was also Dojo too. Dojo also ended up dying. Basically, everything that Gigafactory in New York touches ends up not going too well. So yeah, I'm curious to see what's happening exactly there. If anyone has information, they can reach out to me. I'd be curious to know exactly what's going on with these solar panels from Tesla.
Those look a lot different than the.
It's the frame set. The frame, they make it look like very squarish and everything, but it's that was a standard NWA panel. They make it like really look very square with the frames. And then the other thing that came out of the earnings is that Tesla confirmed that Tesla semi production has been delayed into next year. And I feel a little bit vindicated on this because if you remember earlier this year, I have a report on that saying that Tesla had delayed production into next year, and that they had a dramatic, I'm quoting from a customer here, a dramatic price increase for the Tesla Semi. And then we had our friend Dan Priestley, the manager of the Tesla Semi program, commented on my article saying that there's no change on schedule and multiple incorrect conclusion in that report. It didn't specify any of the incorrect conclusion, and I had no conclusion in the article other than like I mentioned what the customer, which was Ryder, said, which was that delays and dramatic price increase. And then I did speculate on what the price increase could be based on some of the information in the filing that Ryder had with the local authorities in California for financing for the Tesla Semi program that they're running. Anyway, now Dan is singing a completely different tune than what he did on my article a few months ago. He said that the factory equipment for production. So we are in Q4 right now. They're still in installation. So you can expect that production is not going to happen this year. And then he added that we'll have larger builds towards the end of this year. And then our first online builds mean generally let's start of production where you can deliver those vehicles to customers in the first part of next year, ramping into Q2 timing. So, end of Q1, Q2, they're now expect to have the first production Tesla semi truck, and then volume in the back end of 2026. So in the second half of 2026. Yeah, I'm still very hyped about, like, if there's one program at Tesla that I'm hyped about, it is Tesla Semi. I think it could have an impact. It's just we need to know the pricing, because we know the price have increased. We know it's not $180,000 for the 500-mile version like it originally was. So how much it'd be? Like, I think it's going to be closer to 300,000 than its original pricing of 180. But I don't know. Is it going to be more than 300,000? Is it going to be a little less than 300,000? Like, if it's 250,000 to, like, 300,000 starts to be high, but if it's closer to $250,000, I think it's going to be just fine. If it's over $300,000, it's going to start to have a much lesser impact than they originally talked about. Because there's also, like, a lot of the operational costs and everything that Tesla originally talked about was based on like delivering, like, I think it was 7 cents a kilowatt hour or something that they quoted, which makes no sense these days. The price of electricity has ramped up quite a bit, and it's still a lot cheaper than a diesel truck to run and operate, but it's still, like, higher than it was in 2017 when Tesla first introduced the Tesla Semi.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're almost 10 years from the unveiling of that truck.
Yeah, that was same as the Roadster.
Yeah.
Quite
Apparently, speaking of, Franz von Hausen this week said, or last week on a podcast, he said that he swears that Tesla still plans to unveil the latest version of the Roadster later this year. So we'll see about that. Maybe at the shareholder meeting. We'll see. Maybe before the shareholder meeting, because
the latest renders, maybe.
He's been talking about, like, the craziest demo ever. So if it's a render, it's like, ugh.
That's not quite crazy.
All right, Seth, can you talk a little bit about this event for GM that you went to this week?
Yeah, so GM had an event in New York City. Mary Barra, Royce, like, kind of all the bigwigs were there. Sterling Anderson, who we know from Tesla, and then Aurora and some other stuff, is now one of the chief product officers. So it's interesting to see his dynamic there. I think of the four people that presented, kind of was, I feel like, the best presenter. Like, Mary Barra is just, PR speak, just looks like an avatar almost. And he mentioned some things that were pretty important. There's a 2028 Cadillac Escalade IQL, which is the longer Escalade, which is crazy because the regular Escalade is already pretty crazy. That's going to have LiDAR, so, like, the hump in the front that, like, some of the Volvos have. Radar, it's got basically like a full-on Waymo suite of sensors, and it's going to have eyes off Super Cruise. They're not calling it Ultra Cruise anymore, but yeah, I mean, it's happening. Like, they're going to do it.
Wait, it's just going to be on the Escalade IQL, though, not on the IQ, regular IQ?
That's what they said. I mean, I think they're rolling it out slow.
That would be crazy. Because in the Peter article, so you were there live, and then you sent Peter information. In the Peter article, it just says IQ, which would make more sense to me, because at the same time, if you can buy an Escalade IQ, might as well buy an IQL.
Yeah, maybe they just showed it in the IQL, but anyway.
Yeah, you're right. It is an IQL.
Yeah. What's cool about it, I mean, there's a bunch of new technologies they showed, and a lot of, like, let's be honest here, a lot of this stuff was kind of to cover up the BrightDrop disappearance, and some other, like the Bolt being a limited edition or a limited run, all the all this other electrification stuff that they're
They want to keep us
down.
excited about what they're doing rather than just like killing programs after programs.
Right. Yeah. So the other cool thing about this technology, it's got a ton of sensors, but instead of having what you're looking at now, if you're watching, instead of having like 16 different modules, all over the inside of a car, GM is like very much simplified and centralized all of its computing stuff. So, and they're using like NVIDIA chips and what you would expect. But what's cool is like this is not regular Super Cruise. This is like you can watch TV Super Cruise, you can read a book Super Cruise. And I was like, all right, you can watch Netflix. Why can't I go to sleep? And the folks there were just like, we're not doing that. That's not this. And I'm like, all right, so what happens if I do fall asleep? And they were like, it'll wake you up and it'll freak out. But I think we're at the last stage before you can actually sleep. This is what is traditionally called level 3 autonomy, and GM will not call it that because they're like, that puts us in a corner a little bit, and we have some things that are better than level 3 and worse than level 3, but that's what this is. And some other journalists asked about, are you responsible for the speeding ticket if you get a speeding ticket or get into a wreck? I know Sterling was very hype on the idea that they had gotten into 0 wrecks in Super Cruise ever, but GM wouldn't say that they would be responsible if it got into a wreck or a speeding ticket. The problem with that is like, I don't know what Canadian roads are like, but on US roads, like people go 20 miles per hour over the speed limit all the time. So even if this thing's right at the speed limit, like right on the speed limit, it's going to be like the slow car in the right lane that everybody's going to rear end.
So here's the thing. I think why they cannot say that they're going to be responsible for the speeding tickets. I think it has to do with it depends on your setting. Like if you can set Super Cruise to go over the speed limits and it respect the boundaries that you put in the settings, and then you get a speeding ticket, but well, it should be on you, shouldn't
Right.
be on GM. So there is some things to work out on that front. I think same things with autopilot. Like if autopilot, as we're Tesla FSDs, drive too fast, but you put it in a mode that allows it to drive too fast, then who's responsible? Well, in the case of Tesla, it's always the drivers anyway. But
Right.
if they were to opening up to being responsible, they would have to work through that to those things. And though for a wreck, if you're allowed not to look at the road, then you should be responsible for an accident, unless the accident is caused by speeding and you allowed it to speed. So there's so many problems with that. Like we haven't just scratched the surface with self-driving stuff when it comes to that. So when it comes to specifically self-driving vehicles that are owned by people, like rather than robotaxi services. When it comes to robotaxi services, like everything is owned by the company that operates it, and they are responsible for everything. So that simplifies things a little bit. But in this case, we could talk about level 3, and level 3 generally means that it needs to be you don't have to pay attention, but you need to be able to take control within a reasonable time. So yeah, it makes sense that you cannot fall asleep, because like imagine he needs to wake you up, however long that takes, and then once you just woke up, are you in a good state to take control of a vehicle in a potentially stressful or dangerous situation? It's not ideal. Well, if you're just like watching a movie, awake, reading your text and everything, and then the car tells you, hey, be ready to take control in the next 10 seconds or whatever, that's very doable, especially if
Yeah.
they can shut down your screen or something too. Like,
Yeah, and they're trying to build in a system where that the car can react to the emergencies, and it'll kind of give you like a 2-minute countdown. And I'm
oh,
like, if you can give me a 2-minute countdown, like let me go to sleep in the back of the car. I'll wake up in like 10 seconds and be in the front seat.
yeah,
Like,
that's fair. If it's a 2 minute, if that is the reasonable time that they're talking about, yeah, it's that's why I guess they don't want to say level 3, because it sounds like they have a system that's might be closer to level 4. I don't know for
yeah, a
sure.
little bit. And they want to be able to iterate instead of having one straight thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just things you would expect. None of the cars are going to be upgradable to this. If you want this
Yeah, of
system,
course.
you're going to have to buy new. They said it's going to be a pretty quick rollout, like across their lineup. So this will probably be the 28 model. Then like there'll be 5 or 6 2029 models that have it, and then it'll be on as many cars as possible because it's quite valuable.
Yeah, of course.
You can see like the LiDAR hump on it. It's like
Yeah,
the
it's a big one.
first GM car to have that, I think.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean that's been one of the big slight against Tesla for a long time. Is like why there's level 3 is super valuable. Like long distance, if you do like a big trip, a lot of that's going to be on the highway, and if you can automate most of that, but at the same time, that's the problem with Tesla. Is like maybe they can't, especially with without radar and lidar. It's at higher speed, it can be problematic, and we've seen some tragic accident around that too. So Tesla prefers selling the dream of level 4 and 5 rather than deliver a reality of level 3. Feels like.
Yeah, that's a good.
Can I back up with this? I'm trying. Okay, now go. All right. Rivian announced some layoffs this week. It was announced first it was going to be a few, like 600 individual, but then there was a release from RJ Scaringe, the CEO, that said it's going to be about 4% of the workforce, roughly 4.5. And let's see exactly, because I read the news when it originally came out, but not since we have now the official release from RJ. So let's read it real quick. So a difficult update with the launch of R2 in front of us and the need to profitably scale our business. We have made the very difficult decision to make a number of structural adjustments to our teams. These changes result in a reduction in the size of our team by roughly 4.5%. And sorry, I just started the massage on my share not on purpose. These are not changes that were made lightly. With the changing of operating backdrop, we had to rethink how we are scaling our go-to-market function. This news is challenging to hear, and the hard work and contribution of the team members who are leaving are greatly appreciated. So some of the areas impacted, they say, to provide a seamless experience to our customers, we are integrating the vehicle operation work streams into the service organization to create fewer customer end-off and clearer ownership. So the vehicle operation work stream and service organization. So I guess like vehicle deliveries and service. We're also integrating the delivery and mobile operation into sales organization to ensure that the purchase of experience is as seamless as possible in a single touch point throughout the entire sale process to delivery. So it sounds like sales, deliveries, and service are being integrated into one organization. Elevating our marketing effort. Historically, we have had multiple functions like activity capture, what would typically be housed in a single marketing organization. We've made the decision to form a single marketing organization that we recruit our first chief marketing officer. I'll be acting as interim chief marketing officer. Our marketing experience team led by Dennis Cherry and the creative studio team led by Matt Solden will both report directly to me for now. So they are looking for a new CMO. That'd be a fun job.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, in short, they are looking to streamline operation, reduce costs ahead of the R2 because they need to show profitability like as soon as possible. We know that won't happen until they can deliver, ramp up production and deliver R2 in a high volume. But they are finding efficiencies throughout that, and they are reducing the workforce. So it makes sense. It's a bummer, and I'm sorry for all the cool people at Rivian that were let go.
I mean, basically, Rivian, until they start making the R2, is kind of a marketing company, kind of a branding firm, because every vehicle they make, they lose a little bit of money. So they're just kind of keeping it going until the R2s come out, and hopefully they can make a profit on those.
And a technology company, because they use a lot of what they are learning from the R1's program to deliver the R2.
Yeah, and then they also sold their technology to Volkswagen.
Yeah, so that they're making some money from that too now. All right, so Ford is using the current situation with the fire at their plant that to basically kill the F-150 Lightning program, or pause it, halt in production, they're calling it, but an indefinite halt in production. So there was a fire at the aluminum supplier factory that's kind of scrambled all of its operation for all the vehicle program that use aluminum, and the F-150 Lightning is one of them. So they say that they're gonna pause all production at the assembly plant in Rouge indefinitely now, and they're gonna move the workers working on that line to the other lines on the neighboring factory that's making the F series Super Duty trucks. So they're focusing on the more gas-guzzling vehicles and pausing the F-150 Lightning. And obviously, this timing also matches the end of the federal tax credit that was helpful for the program. So I think that has just as much of an impact as the aluminum plant fire, I would assume.
Yep.
At the same time, there's a next generation electric truck that's supposed to come relatively soon, next year, I think, end of next year.
Do you think they have enough
so
Lightnings to last until the new one comes out?
Yeah, that's what I was going through. I was like, I don't know the exact inventory situation for the Lightning. I'm sure they have some on end. I was actually like looking at some here too. So it's maybe they think that that's going to last for a little while, and they're going to be able to sell them a little bit higher prices because there's no more coming in, and so there's a little bit more of a scarcity issue, and that will get them through their next generation truck next year. All right, we have one more news item to discuss, even though we already touched a bit on it earlier. And then we're going to jump into the comment section. So if you guys want our take on something in the EV world or the renewable energy world, you can put them in the comment section right now. It can be, some of the things that we discussed today, or it can be any other topics in the EV world that you like Seth or and I to discuss. All right, the last thing is the BrightDrop vehicle program, which has been killed completely. They shut down production at the plant in Ontario, CAMI assembly plants. One of the rare all-electric vehicles that have been produced in Canada is no more. The Canadian government also invested $500 million into that plant to bring it to EV production, because it was an ICE plant before that. And the BrightDrop program started roughly. It was rough for them, with 146 trucks in 2022, about 500 trucks in 2023, and then a similar like doubling a ramp up in 2024. But this year things were going pretty well. They delivered for the for the first 3 quarters of the year 2,300 van. It's not as much as like the Transit or the even Rivian's Amazon delivery van. Well, it's not just Amazon now, but that's what it's known for. But it is a bigger vehicle too. It's a large, very large vehicle, the BrightDrop. But although they have 2 models, they have a little bit smaller one. I was at a car show last weekend for showing up my electric tractors that I have here in Canada. And they right next to me, there was a BrightDrop, and I was just, every time I looked at it, I was like, Jesus, that thing is way bigger than I remember it. It is huge. So it's not the same category necessarily as the e-Transit or anything, but you're not seeing the same volume either. But it seemed like it was picking up, and the demand was picking up, but it's not comparable to the GMC Savannah van or the Chevy Express, which are the main commercial van from GM. So they're like, all right, especially with the situation across the border with the US and Canada and the trade war, which now is apparently completely stalled, the negotiation between the US and Canada, because the Ontario premier shared a video of Ronald Reagan that Trump didn't like. That's literally the reason why there's no talks right now. It's kind of a screwed situation, so they just gave up on it. Basically, that's what happened.
So the good news is that you can now buy a BrightDrop van from Chevy for like, I think $35,000 or
get out.
So the 400 is like 30, I think 30, maybe 39, and then the 600 you can get for, I think, just about 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah, van life people.
Yeah, I mean, there's some issues with that.
Yeah, the door's not super aerodynamic.
Yeah, the doors are like very much delivery van doors, so you would need to figure out a way to isolate them better because the cabin is just, it's not a good situation. I mean, the back of it, you if you were doing like a van life thing, you would have to isolate it anyway. But yeah, for driving, the second seat too is like also like a kind of a very much a secondary seat. It's like a pull down seat, so it's not super comfortable. You cannot like lay it back or anything like that. So there's there are issues. But for a solo van life thing, though, I think there's ways to make it like great. But if you're doing like a couples thing, I think it would be a hard sell for the person in the second seat. All right, let's jump into the comment section.
All right, I'm seeing 46,000 for one of those right now.
Ooh.
All right. Oh dear, Rivian, not an e-bike will save them. Yeah, Rivian had an e-bike announcement this week, or its subsidiary also did, and some of the controversy around that is that why are they messing around with bikes when they can? But they spun off the company. I don't think they're spending a lot of time with it.
Yeah, it's different people. Like I think they're not. Do you know of anyone that likes like as a dual role at Rivian and also?
There's one person.
Yeah. Okay.
RJ.
Oh.
That's it. All right. Question: what's the benefit of not providing Android Auto in a car in 2025, like a new Bolt? Why doesn't every OEM provide it? Even my 15K diesel Dacia from 2019 has it. So this is something at the GM event, I was, people would come up to me and say, "Oh, aren't we doing great?" And I was like, "Come talk to me about CarPlay," and they would just, walk away basically. They are just not going to do CarPlay, and they think they're like Rivian and Tesla, and their software engineers are better. They're going to get a better experience. And for a lot of stuff, it's like the Android Auto experience is fine. But like for me, it's, when, for instance, texting, like I have group texts and messages on my iPhone that doesn't work in other operating systems. And it's really frustrating. And when I'm driving around my Chevy Bolt 2023, which has CarPlay, it's a really nice experience because I can just, tap to the, respond to stuff really easily. So yeah, I don't know why they don't just do it. I mean, the software, the Google software that they use can support CarPlay. It supports CarPlay in the Prologue, the Honda Prologue, which is basically a GM car. So
is there a cost issue attached to this? Like, is the licensing of these things like? I mean, I guess with the guy said that he has it in his 2019 Dacia, so probably shouldn't. It's not an astronomical cost, but are at large scale
I
or
think
automakers
it's about the data.
Yeah, probably that's more valuable than the actual licensing, right?
All right. So yeah, it's asking the same question there. People texting in their cars currently is illegal in most U.S. states. He is basically saying drive illegally. Who are we talking about?
I think he means that it wouldn't be legal right now to even deploy that technology.
Oh yeah.
First of all, this is coming in 2028, and I think the regulators are already looking into that. What about in California? There's a stretch of highway where you can use Mercedes can use the level 3 system.
Yeah, and in Vegas too, or something. Maybe on the way to Vegas.
I'm sure the local authorities, where it is legal, they know that if you have the proper technology, it's actually legal.
This is a good question. Bull 2035 says, do we know how much money has been paid for FSD but has not been realized as revenue yet?
I mean, you don't know exactly, but Tesla's deferred revenue consists mostly of that. So you can use the deferred revenue line on the balance sheet, and it's going to tell you that amount. So it's honestly, I don't pay much attention to that anymore because Tesla does what it wants with it. Like they will release an update and just arbitrarily come up with a number, and I'm sure they have a formula for it, but like obviously, if you're promising unsupervised full self-driving to someone and you're selling it for $10,000, their value, like 90%, $9,000 of that value is in unsupervised self-driving. Like that is infinitely more, well, not infinitely, obviously, but you can't put a number on it, but like an order of magnitude more than driver assistant features, like the ability to, the car and not supervise it and like go to sleep in it and text and work and like, get back your time. That's where the value is, and that's not what Tesla is doing. They're not just right now recognizing like 10% of the revenue from it. So they're already not doing it, I think, the right way, the way that they should be doing. And there's no, I mean, this is 2025 US, where crime is basically legal, and the SEC literally tell companies that like, we don't sweat the small stuff, so don't don't worry about it. So I don't expect any enforcement there or anything like that. So what's the point? It's that sad, really.
Yeah. All right, Carl in San Diego, with all that you've seen happen with Elon and Tesla, how anyone could consider putting money towards a Tesla is baffling. Your wallet has power and you're using it the wrong way.
Fair point. Look, at the end of the day, I still report on Tesla. I'm a Tesla reporter full time, and I'm starting to figure out that, well, I'm not starting, I knew that for a while, but like I would like to have the latest computer and be able to test this latest software, especially as they get closer. And because I'm saying that like knowing very well that I don't think I'm likely to get to the promise of unsupervised self-driving on Hardware 4, but I want to be able to track that in a more accurate way, and I would need to have that computer to do it. So yeah, it's that's it. That's the main reason that I want to. Also, I have, speaking of like, influencing with my wallet, I do have like $9,000 worth of Tesla credit that I need to spend too.
Yeah, I'm not quite there, but I do have some credit that I would like to spend down, and I'd also like to, realize some of the money that I spent on full self-driving.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, I'm not giving too much profit if and when I ever do. Also, I'm thinking I might not do that. Mike the Car Geek says earning call was the most low energy I've heard Elon until shareholder vote came up at the very end, and suddenly his blood pressure went up.
That's fair. Every time he talked about his thing, like he went, like, they're terrorists, they're corporate terrorists. that was him. Yeah, he's been losing it for a while now, but that clearly. When you're a CEO of a Fortune 500 company talking about infinite money glitch for a product that you haven't finished yet, like it's you're not going the right direction.
All right, Zapfodly Leebox 82817 says humanoids are useless in factories. Factory robots are already using vision and AI. So we're talking about the.
I have a more nuanced approach to that. I hate when people say like it's useless. It's obviously not useless. Like there's use cases, like if they are, and I'm not just talking about like if you figure out a truly generalized humanoid robot, then obviously it's super useful. But yes, the human form is not the optimal form for virtually everything. Like we are weak. Like evolutionarily speaking, I think like our biggest asset was our cardio. Like we have like good cardio over a long period of time. We could outlast some prey and things like that. So like that was our best thing. But like obviously robots have amazing cardio based on their power source. So that's not really the challenge. But like in terms of our ends, and that our ends are amazing, but they're not optimized for a lot of things. So yes, a specialized solution is generally better. However, there is a high cost in deployment for those for that kind of machinery, for that kind of specialized robots. And if you have a solution that's humanoid and a task that's been done by a human where they can just observe the task and then take over for it, there's a lot of value in that. The throughput will not increase that much because of the limitation of the humanoids, and because of that, yes, it's very limited, but there is some value. But I do agree that because of that Elon's like idea of like millions and millions of robots and infinite multi-glitch with humanoids, I think that's false. I think humanoid robots will have a place in the future, but I think they will be outnumbered by specialized robots, probably 1,000,000 to 1, very least like 100,000 to 1.
Yeah, I saw a report. A really smart guy was talking about humanoid robots, and he was like, "Yeah, the arms, that makes a lot of sense. Very tactile, very important. Legs make no sense. Like
No,
put some wheels on there, you're much better off."
yeah, especially like wheels that can like go over. You can have a wheel system with springs, with some suspension that can get over steps, and you can go over like even a full flight of stairs and things like that. Yeah, the wheels are so much more efficient than legs.
Yeah, it's like we build boats. We don't have like big fins on boats, going like that, or like our airplanes don't go like this. Like we figured out better stuff.
Hmm.
All right, my favorite part of the protocol, Kyle Six says my favorite part of the earnings call was when Elon referenced Optimus doing kung fu with Jared Leto. That bot moves just like the most athletic 85-year-old I've ever
Oh,
seen.
that's not fair. That's not fair. Optimus looked good there. The only thing that was weird is like that. Tesla had posted that a few days prior to the premiere, and it was clearly a reverse situation. So like they say that the robot was interacting with Jared Leto and everything like that. First of all, that was not true. Jared Leto in the video is like standing there just watching it. It's not actually interacting with someone else. And yeah, in the prior video, you could see that it was like a reverse sequence of event of movement, and then was just replicated for the event. So again, Elon is like lying all the time with that thing. It's annoying. Like why lie about that? Like you're trying to do something super difficult. Everyone knows. We all understand that there's great value in a generalized humanoid robots. Just show us what you're doing to get there, and we're not seeing that right now.
Yeah. All right. Dean McManus, 4862 says, I just dropped my FSD subscription because it has issues with my Hardware 3 full self-driving computer. Most likely Tesla will be forced to upgrade Hardware 3 CPUs, but they will probably only upgrade FSD buyers. I think they've determined it's too hard to do that, though, right?
Yeah, I've been very skeptical about computer upgrade for Hardware 3. I think it's too big of a retrofit program. But yeah, I guess we didn't talk about that much, but there was some mention of Hardware 3 during the call, and it was kind of disheartening, really, for Hardware 3, because the CFO, I always have issues with his name, but the CFO kind of walked back Elon's comments from earlier this year, where Elon straight up admitted ain't gonna happen on World War 3. And then his name, Tanaja, the CFO, said that we haven't completely given up on World War 3. That was his word. We haven't completely given up on World War 3. And then Ashok said that we plan to do a mini version V14 for Hardware 3 in Q2 of next year. So like, so that's not so that what does that mean is that don't expect a retrofit until later half of next year at best, which is not going to happen. But you're going to have to wait another 6 months or so to maybe get a version, a lesser version that Hardware 4 have right now, which is still not what people paid for, which was unsupervised self-driving. So it's mind-blowing, the way that they treat their customers on that front. I cannot support that whatsoever.
All right. Let's see. Carl in San Diego, problem with the EV revolution is that y'all bet on manufacturers and the free market providing the change. If we are ever going to move from ICE to EVs in climate crisis pace, it required regulation. I mean, we could have also put a penalty on gas and made gas $10 a gallon. I think that would have probably done way better than anything else.
Of course.
7 cents per kilowatt hour is a very reasonable rate for commercial buildings still.
I mean, I don't know about that, but the commercial buildings are not charging station. Charging station have extremely higher cost of electricity due to peak demand. It's all about peak. It's not consistent like a building. It requires giant peak of electricity demand.
All right, question. Other than Tesla, what charging company has shown the most progress building out an effective EV charging network?
That's a good question. I mean,
EVgo and uh, America, whatever,
Electrify America.
are both not.
Okay, what do you were phrasing that
Yeah.
a strange way? I was like, where you going with
No,
that?
what's
No, I
that
agree.
Italian company? The Alpatronic. They're
Yeah, I mean, so there's networks and then there's hardware. I think
right, right. They're hardware.
there's not like Tesla is good at both. Like the supercharger network has great hardware and also a very reliable and extensive network. Uh, and it's the only one that like it's the best. So like we're just talking about second best, and we're talking about like second best that are pretty far behind too.
Right.
I think on the hardware side, there's things that are a lot closer, even maybe potentially even better. The Ken Power stuff is what a
Right.
lot of the charging station operator mentioned a lot. So a friend of mine, Sylvain Juteau, operates in Trois-Rivières what is called the Rouler Electric station, the Avenue Electric. And he has dozens of charging stations there, including a few DC chargers. So he's tested a bunch of different hardware for a bunch of different charging stations, and the Ken Power one is by far the best, he says.
Hmm.
And now that's what he uses when he deploys other DC fast charging station. So there's that. But in terms of network, like in North America, have you tried this whole like Iona thing?
No,
Where
but
they have?
I've heard good things about them, and they are buying the Alpatronic stuff. So
Yeah. So
um,
maybe that's gonna be a thing. In Europe, you have better stuff though. You have
yeah,
Fastned. You have the what's the big one? The Ionic.
yeah,
Yeah, it's Ionic.
and of course superchargers there as well. With
Yeah, superchargers undefeated, all time best.
all right, any recommendations on home chargers? Any interesting new home charging options in 2025?
Oof.
I mean, it depends on what you're after. Like, there's some that have two charge ports that are kind of nice that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Like Grizzly's got one. I like that. What is it? It starts with an E, euphonic or something. Emporia. Emporia's like $399. Good hardware. The cable's nice and flexible. Altel's got a good one. I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
Wall box are pretty
Yeah,
good.
nice and small.
My dad has a Flow he likes a lot, but I think they're getting a little bit cheaper these days. And I mean, the wall connector, I've never had any issues with a wall connector, Tesla wall connector ever. So that's
Yeah.
obviously good.
All right. 2026 full load Cascadia is over 200K to buy right now. It's like a full uh, Tesla semi
Yeah, so that's what I'm
competitor.
saying. If you're at 250K, then you're very competitive. If you're at 300K, 350K, it's become a tougher
Yeah.
decision.
All right. Skeptic says still early stages, but Iona is making waves in the Midwest. In practice, I'm starting to view public chargers as a single large network rather than individual companies, especially with NACS.
That's
Yeah, I
fair.
mean, as they get better and as they start taking plug-in charge and their credit card readers actually work, it is starting to become a little bit smoother.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what are you talking about with the 2 minutes of warning? All these interventions needs to be instantaneous. It's the whole point of not having full autonomy. Well, that's the point. Like, so first of all, this 2028 eyes off is only going to be on freeways.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's time to get off the freeway, like if you've navigated to a place that's off the freeway, when you're 2 miles away from your destination, it'll start beeping. It'll, like prepare to take over in 2 minutes. And then it'll start beeping more and more and more. And then if you don't get onto it, it pulls itself over to the side of the road. All right, Mike the
That's
Car
the
Geek.
idea of level 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike the Car Geek, years ago, all automakers wanted to skip level 3 driving because there's a gray area as to who is responsible for accidents, but level 4 proved too difficult for some automakers, actually all automakers.
Yeah.
All right. Level 3 is all I need, but I do need it at this point. I want to go to sleep in the back of my car. Whenever that happens is when I'm cool. Protocol says if Ford never restarts Lightning production, the STX trim will be super rare.
Yeah, they didn't produce that for long.
No.
You produced it for a minute.
Isn't anyone else a bit concerned about Elon being in control of 1 million humanoid robots? What if he were to arm them? Will robots have the right to bear arms in the U.S.? Yeah, I don't like the sound of that at
Look,
all.
I'm not scared of the Tesla robots right now. I should be like Protocol has been saying. Like I think 85-year-old men. I don't know what kind of 85-year-old men he hangs out with, but I think that's not exactly fair. But it's also not. They're not really strong right now. Like if they do use weapons, I guess. But yeah, I think we
More
can
like
wipe
dance
them out.
parties.
Yeah,
You got to
we
worry about the
can.
dance parties. All right. Canada is screwed for manufacturing anyways. No matter what is being made, we are on a fast track to national bankruptcy, and we're smile and wave. Is it that
I don't
bad?
know about that, but in terms of the automotive aspect to it, I do agree that we're kind of screwed on that front in terms of manufacturing. Look, I
Yeah,
think I think we can. There's a lot we can do. For we're such a resource-rich country, insanely rich, and we've been focused a lot on our like oil reserve, obviously, because we have I think the third largest confirmed oil reserve, but terrible extraction of it,
that's
expensive
the tar
extraction. So I
tar
think,
sands. Yeah.
yeah, the tar sand. So I think we should focus less on that and look at our mineral resources and look at ways to exploit those in a way that is not through disrupting to the environment and our renewable resources. We have incredible forestry, and if we do it responsibly, it's a renewable resource that you can use a lot, and it's something that our trees are incredible, like one much better than the US for lumber and that. So there's a lot of opportunity on that, and yeah, in terms of the manufacturing front, that's for sure. We need we need some reforms on that.
All right, when they've got the woke mind idiots like you shoving that BS down their throats, what do you expect? Come on, Fred, I challenge you to a debate right now in front of everyone. Let's do it. All right, Robert Vargas.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays I stay the first. Anyone that mentioned left, right, wokeism, all of that stuff is like, I don't believe in any of that stuff. I believe all of that is just distraction. If you're engaging in that, like screw the woke, screw the Nazi right, and everything like that, is like it's not helpful. I would destroy you in a debate because I would just focus on the actual what are we debating about. Like if we're debating about electric vehicles, what, what are you gonna do? Like, I don't engage anything that has to do wokeism, left, right. It's stupid.
All right. According to the Motor Trend article, car makers are ditching Android Auto and CarPlay in large part to be in control of the data collected from the
Mm.
drivers. It's valuable, and they want a piece of it.
Yeah, so you were right about that.
Yeah,
That's what you
said it
just
right.
said.
All right, go watch it again, Fred, and tell me that the bot doesn't move like an 85-year-old. It's very rigid, good movements and MMA. Haha.
I mean, it's gonna look rigid. It's a robot. It's a lot more rigid. But like, what kind of 85 years old can do like a 360 jumping spin like and a roundhouse kick? Like even like a regular roundhouse kick. I don't know a lot of 85 years old can do that. And not that it was a great roundhouse kick, but still. So yeah, I get your point though. It's just not there yet. But the Unity robot is doing some wild stuff. It can do like a back flip, like a front flip from being like kneeling down on the ground. Like it moves like impressively well. It just doesn't have the level of dexterity in the hands that some of the other robots do.
All right. What do you think about fusion, nuclear fusion?
Over my head a little bit. Like, I mean, I know that if it is solved, it is great. Has a lot of potential. Like less, I know it has a lot less residue from operation, and it's so that's great. It's just if you ask me, like when is it gonna be solved, I have no clue. It's way over my head.
All right. An agreement, although it would be nice to have unlimited power. I've been using the Tesla mobile connector the whole ownership of my car. What's the benefit of getting a dedicated home charger? Yeah, I also have that kind of idea. Like, once you plug one in, you leave it there, it just works.
Mm-hmm. No, if you have it on level 2, if you have connection for it and everything, there's literally no advantage.
All right, and I think we are not allowed to work on the oil patch at all. The federal liberals have stopped that completely with keep it in the ground policy. All right.
I mean, I don't know if it's like I'm sure like it's like the U.S. in that sense. Like when it's the Conservative Party with all their representative from Alberta that it's in power, then yes, the regulation gets relaxed, and then when it's the Liberal Party, it gets tighter regulation. But at the end of the day, our cost of extracting oil is way higher than like the Saudis or some of the other big reserve out there. So you have to take that into account, like because I hear a lot of people like so often compare us to the Saudis because in terms of population we're similar, in terms of oil reserve we're similar, and then yet they have like all of our social benefits like healthcare and everything, plus $100,000 salary for citizens and all that stuff. So like, why are we just as resource rich? We should be as rich as a nation too. At the same time, it's like, look at our cost. Our cost of exploiting the oil is way different. So it's not an ideal. I'm sure we have more regulation than these also.
Oh, for sure.
And probably for the better, I would assume. But at the end of the day, it's like a business, and if your cost of extracting from tar sand is higher than the Saudis drilling, you're not going to compete as much, and especially when the prices of oil goes down. Now it's up in the last week or two, I think. Like it's just got a big jump, but for a while it was going down, and that's not good business for Alberta.
No, but it's good for knocking Putin out of power. So
yep.
We'll be all right with that. Mm-hmm. All right, that's it. That's it for.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the Electrek podcast this week. If you do enjoy the show, please give us a like, a thumbs up. These things help the show a ton, and it's free to do. If you're listening on a podcast app too, if you can give us a 5-star rating, only if you think we deserve it, of course, a 5-star rating on your podcast app like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everything. We always get those 0-star ratings from the people that think we're too much of an Elon hater and all that, which I don't think is anyway. That helps when you can compensate with the ratings on that front. And yeah, I hope you have a nice weekend, and we're gonna see you same time, same place